single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Hey there, welcome to Dig Dug Gold, another episode. This is episode 3. If you have not seen the first 2 videos, I want to welcome you to Dig Dug Gold. This is where we are in the process of turning $100 into a mind-blowing business. That's right, we're going to turn this into a mind-blowing gold business, not a regular business, but a gold business. What's the difference? Well, the difference is gold is tangible. Most of the businesses that you see on the internet or on YouTube or Google, what have you, are either paper businesses, but more than likely they're digital businesses. If something happens and they go belly up, you lose it all. You lose everything. You lose your work. You've got nothing left to show for the work that you put in. That's why I like gold, and I like silver too. These are any time where I can trade paper or digital for tangible. To me, that's a good idea. That's a good deal. If something were to happen in this nation where we would go bankrupt once again, we've been bankrupt several times, but we go bankrupt once again, and it looks like that we're heading there with a $21 to $22 trillion national debt. Where do nations always go? They always go back to their storage of gold, and then they raise funds based on the gold that they have in storage. Back in the 30s or 40s, you might recall that in the history books, it'll tell you that when we went bankrupt the last time, during the Great Depression, the government took all the citizens' gold, melted it down, and put it into Fort Knox. Now there's a question whether or not it's still there, or there's a portion still there. Nobody's actually seen the gold in Fort Knox for over 50 years from my understanding. But people always go back to gold. So in my mind, if I have a quantity of gold in my possession and something were to happen to this nation, or something were to happen to me personally, whether that be I lost my job, lost my health, or lost my life, then my family would still be able to survive because I've traded into gold from paper money and digital currency, that kind of thing. I was asked a question this morning about what I think about cryptocurrency. There was a time not so long ago that I was really, really big on it. But as I've gotten into this gold field, so to speak, I think for me at least, just for me, I'm not going to do this for you, but for me at least, being a baby boomer, I'm going to invest in gold and silver bullion, raw gold, that kind of stuff. Anything dealing with gold I'm going to invest in, so that if something were to happen, I would be able to survive, and so would my family. That's just me. Okay, I think a lot of us YouTubers that deal in gold, and just about anybody that has dealt with gold, whether it's panning, mining, collecting, anything like that, respects gold to the point where they want to put a certain portion of their assets in there because they understand that, and they also understand the current monetary system that we live underneath. If you don't know what the numbers are in your Social Security card or your birth certificate, and you don't know what they correlate to, you need to make a study of it, because that'll open your eyes in regards to what we are as a nation and how this was all set up. I'm not going to go into it here though. Maybe another film, maybe another time. Right now, the title of this is Panning for Gold in Streams. So if you've seen the first 2 videos, you know that I have preached about 8 streams of income. Okay? 8 streams of income. before we go out into the field and start panning for gold and mining and that kind of stuff, buying equipment, we need to make sure that, one, of course, our obligations are paid for. We can sustain our life, have food to eat, roof over our heads, take care of our family, that kind of stuff first. And then if our job allows us to have enough income afterwards left over, and we haven't spent it on things that we can't recuperate our income from, such as expenses, things like that, fixed stuff that it takes to live, then we should have a little bit left over to be able to invest into a business, which is one of the first things that I asked you to do, was put together what you think you could invest into a business on a monthly basis or weekly basis, okay? Also, I asked you to put together what you could budget in time. I'm a truck driver, so I work on the road 3 weeks out of every month, and then I'm home for a week. So getting an extra part-time job for me isn't possible. So I've got to create other revenues, sources, other avenues, other streams of income, so that if something were to happen to me here on the road, first of all, I have insurance, so my family's covered. So I've got my obligations covered. But I want to make sure that the job that I have here, if something were to happen to me, this is the main source of income that I have, that I could replace that income, and that I, because I had the other streams going, the income from here wouldn't hurt as bad if I lost it. And that's the whole idea, is to spread the risk. It's kind of like insurance. You spread the risk over multiple sources of streams, or multiple sources of income producing places, so that if one takes a hit, it doesn't hurt so bad, okay? In relation to gold, in the gold business, we quite often, people will come, what they say, skunked. They'll go out into a stream, or they'll go out into a river or a creek, as my friend Alan says, and they'll go panning, and they'll come up with nothing. Alan doesn't. He usually always comes up with something. But they'll come up with nothing. And they'll go home. They've wasted money on gas. They've wasted money on, of course, food. But they've had the joy of being outside and in God's nature, so to speak. All right? But the whole idea is, if you're in business and you're going to want to depend on gold to be your livelihood, anytime you get skunked is a bad time, okay? Because you traded money for expenses and you didn't recoup it back. And that's the whole idea of being in business, is you're in business to create a profit. Otherwise, it's a non-profit, a charity, and we're not set up to do that, okay? So these are some key ideas that I want to bring to you. Now, this first idea that I've used personally in the past, I've, just to kind of qualify this a little bit, so that you know where I've been. I don't want you to think of me as a guru, of somebody that drives a Mercedes-Benz or lives in a big house, all this kind of stuff, or that I figured everything out in life, because I'm not. I've been homeless before. I was homeless for 6 weeks, living out of my car within the last 11 years, okay? And so I know what it's like to be homeless. Believe it or not, I also know what it's like to be hungry. I know it doesn't look like that, but I do. I know what it's like to be hungry and not be able to find food, okay? I'm a stockholder of sorts in ramen noodles. I don't own paper stock. I own stock as in ramen noodles. So here in the truck. So that gives you an idea. I'm all about making money when it comes to when I'm out on the road. I participate in the truck stops, hot dog relief services, where we can buy 2 hot dogs for $3, and I fill up enough gas to where I can get my drinks for free as well. So I can get out of a day and spend only $10. So that means that my weekly expenditures here on the road I can do for $100 or less, usually within $50, $60, $70, something like that. That allows me to send a little money home as well until I get paid, and then of course pretty much all of that goes home too. So you just kind of got to think of things like that. Now I wanted to show you my book. Here's my money notebook. Okay, this is probably the 10th or 11th one that I've made, and I fill them all out. I always try to keep a notebook with me or paper with me. If not, when I'm stopped, I always make use of plate settings, paper plate settings, where I jot ideas down, things like this. This was an idea that I sent to Alan Robertson. If you haven't been over to Alan's channel, go ahead, please, and go over there and take a look at it. You will be amazed at what this man does and what he's able to put together, the contraptions and the tinkering that he does. It's just incredible. I love his films. I love him as a person. He's a great man. He's an awesome man, a great mentor to me as well, and many of us as well. Same with Utah Avalanche. I have a good relationship with him, and I enjoy so much his input whenever he gives it to me, and I've used some of his ideas such as urban prospecting, which we'll get into. So anyway, the first idea that I have for you today is called what I call flipping coins. Now, if you are my age group, you know what flipping coins are, because we used to do that, get busted at school. Most of the time we'd use pennies. Some of the high rollers would use nickels, dimes, and quarters. You flip it against the wall, and the closest person that come to the wall wins all the money. Okay, that was me more than enough. So yes, I did spend some time in the principal's office. We'll just skip that for now. So anyway, I call it flipping coins. Now, it's different than what it was when I grew up. What we do now is, this is 2019, I use half dollars. So I've graduated a little bit. And what I do is I'll take $100. $100 is what? 200 half dollars, right? And my goal is to flip my $100 into $200 worth of coins or more, and then go sell them and pocket the money and turn around and do it again. So what we're going to talk about today is flipping half dollars. If you can scale this up, this is a great way to make some extra income, and you might be surprised if you record it down in your journal what you can come up with in a month if you dedicate 4 hours a week to it. Now, one of the things that I preach is budgeting your time. So you got to determine how much time you're willing to put into your business. Okay? For me, I don't have a whole lot of time. I only have I have 10 hours of off time a day, and then 14 hours worth of drive time in a day. So that 10 hours I got to sleep, because I don't want to have an accident and be irresponsible and kill people on the highway if I fall asleep and that kind of thing. So I generally only need about 6 to 7 hours worth of sleep a night. I can survive for a couple, 2 or 3 weeks on less, on 3 or 4 hours before I start hitting it. But I can certainly put in a couple hours a day into my business, and that's what I do here. Part of my streams of income is here on YouTube. YouTube has a lot of sources of income. Some of them people don't even think about. And so we'll talk about that when we get to that point in the stream as well. This is about half dollars. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to take your phone, okay? Go on to Google search. And what I want you to do is I want you to type in banks near me. Banks near me, okay? After it comes up, I want you to see how many banks you have that are near you. Okay, for me, I live in Hoover, Alabama. Okay, it's a suburb of Birmingham. Before I moved to Alabama, I really had no idea what Alabama was like. I thought it was kind of like an extension of Appalachia. When I got here, I was surprised. Okay, they're actually quite advanced from where I thought it was, and I actually really enjoy living here. It reminds me of where I'm from originally, which is Michigan. But anyway, if you pull up banks near me, get it back here, it doesn't show real well. So anyway, what I did was I called down. You'll have each bank, an address when it opens, when it closes, and then you'll have a call and directions on how to get there. So if you hit the call button there, it'll automatically connect you to the bank. Now I went through and I counted, and I have 95 banks near me in Hoover, Alabama. Now mind you, $100 equals 200 half-dollar coins. Okay, so do you think I can get roughly two half-dollar coins from each bank? If math worked out as perfectly in life, yes, but you'll be surprised. But the whole idea is to take your journal here, and I write it down. I'm kind of low tech, so I'll write it down, and I'll write each bank down that I get in connection with, and I'm going to ask them 4 questions. 1, do you have any loose half dollars? Loose silver half dollars, let me specify that. Do you have any loose half dollars that perhaps your tellers have pulled out or have taken in change and are just sitting in the registers that you'd like to sell? Because I'm a prospector, and a part of how I do my prospecting is I prospect banks for silver coins. The second question that I'm going to ask is, do you have any hand-rolled half-dollar rolls? Now, half dollars come in $20 rolls. That means there's 40 per roll. That also means there's $500 or 1,000 coins in a box of half dollars. Some of the bigger banks will have a box of half dollars. You're going to have to work on scaling that up. But if you do your first 200 silver, by the time you get all 200 turned over into silver, flipped into silver, you should have enough money, or at least close to having enough money, to be able to buy a box. And that's where the gold really is in the box. Because when you get that box of half dollars, it'll be 1,000 coins. You should be able to make a nice income per week if you have 4 banks buying a box from you, 1 a week. You should be able to go turn them in and to the silver coin dealer, and be able to scale this up to where you can create a nice little side income for you off of this stream alone. Okay, now that's making it sound really easy. It's not. Okay, you've got to dedicate time. Now, if you have 20 hours a week to be able to put into your business, and you've got 8 streams of income that you need to dedicate, that's roughly a half hour per stream per day if you work 5 days. You can't get a whole lot done in a half hour. I've tried. I'm pretty good at time management, but I haven't been able to do that one. So what you have to do is you have to kind of augment how you're going to work your streams. So say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to work on streams 1 through 3, or 1 through 4, or 1 through 5, and I'm going to put say an hour a day into each the first 5 streams or the first 4 streams. That's 4 hours a day. So if I put an hour in a day, I can accomplish something. If I put in, say, all 4 hours into one stream a week, I can probably accomplish a lot during those 4 hours. Here in the beginning, that's kind of how you're going to need to schedule yourself, especially when it comes to flipping half dollars, because it's going to take time to make your phone calls and to find out where the money is. Okay, you're looking for money. Now, whenever you're trading money for money, I think that that's a good trade because it doesn't cost you anything. You still got the cash. You just transferred it from paper cash to coin cash, and I'd rather have the coin cash anyway, to be honest with you. The paper cash, if you pull out a bill, a dollar bill, $2 bill, $3 bill. Oh, that's right, they don't have $3 bills, do they? $5, $10, $20, $50, or $100. I'll pull out a dollar bill here. See the dollar bill? Here it is. You'll notice at the top it says what? Federal Reserve Note. Everybody's seen that. By the way, if you don't know what those serial numbers correlate to, you need to look that up too. But anyway, you'll see Federal Reserve Note. Now, in your mind, when you have a note, what do you have? Now, I used to be a banker. I used to be a mortgage broker and a realtor. So I kind of am pretty good with money when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'll tell you what, each one of those monies, paper monies that you have, Federal Reserve notes, they aren't really money. They were taken off the gold standard and the silver standard years ago. So all they are right now is promissory notes. They're IOUs that the U.S. government sends to the World Bank and gets their cash from eventually. So if they need extra cash, they go and print. They call the Federal Reserve, which they're not supposed to do because Congress is supposed to be in charge of cash, printing cash. But they gave that power over to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It's not a governmental entity, so we can't do anything about it here as voting citizens. But they'll send that over. The Federal Reserve will print a bunch of money, send it over to the World Bank. The World Bank will take those, and based on the money supply that country has, including the new printing that they made, and they'll give what each one of those notes are worth, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, whatever it is, on the dollar. Okay? Another good reason why you want to have gold and silver in your portfolio. Okay? So, what we're going to do now is we're going to discuss how to do this. Okay, the first part is pulling up all the banks in your area. The second part is, of course, making the phone calls and asking the questions. Do you have loose half dollars in the tills? Do you have rolled half dollars? Do you have the ability to buy boxes of half dollars if I were to come in and pay for them up front? Okay. Would you be willing to call me when you have boxes of half dollars in, or rolled half dollars that come in, that kind of thing? Because I'd really like to go through it. Like I said, I'm a treasure hunter. Okay. So those are the questions that you kind of want to ask when you're on the phone with these bank managers. They'll tell you up front whether or not they have those rolls available and whether or not somebody else is holding them, or they're working with somebody else, that kind of thing. And if they aren't, they'll say, "Come on down." Yeah, we've got some. You can come on down. They'll take your money because it's an even up trade. Now, it's not an even up trade when you go sell them. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to first call all the banks in the area, and we're going to ask those questions. Okay. Now, what you need to know is that half dollars that were minted from 1965 to 1970 are 40% silver, and the other 60% are various metals like copper, nickel, and whatever. Doesn't matter. You can test the validity of silver real easy. There's two ways, whether or not you're getting a counterfeit coin or not. Okay? Silver can't be magnetized. So if you've got a magnet and the silver doesn't stick to it, and the silver coin doesn't stick to it, you got silver, genuine silver. If you've got an ice cube and you put silver on an ice cube, silver also has thermal properties to it, so it will melt your ice cube. A lot of the old timers, a little history, a lot of the old timers, they would take their change, because back then a lot of it was silver, most of it was 90% silver. They would throw it in a cup if they needed a drink. They would throw it in a cup, and throw some snow into their cup, and the silver would melt it without ever lighting a fire. True story. Okay, so you can test the validity of the silver by either magnetizing it, trying to magnetize it, or putting an ice cube in the bottom of a cup with silver and see if it works. You know, see if it melts the ice cube. If it does, it's silver. If it doesn't, it's not. But anything printed, or anything minted, I should say, from 1965 to 1970, when it comes to half dollars, will have a 40% silver content. Now that silver content, scrap as of yesterday, which is April 30th, 2019, was $2.22. Okay, so you bought a half dollar for 50 cents. You can go down to the silver coin dealer and get $2.22 for it. That's a 4-to-1, 4.5, 4.25% ratio. That's what we call serious ROI, return on investment. Being a former banker, I take issue with a lot of the people on here that buy pay dirt, review the pay dirt, automatically come up with a loss and call it return on investment. That's not a return on investment. That's a loss on investment. That's the correct term, a net loss on investment. Anytime you lose your money, so in other words, you go buy a car. The minute you buy the car for $10,000, you go drive it off a lot, and immediately upon driving off the lot, it loses $1,500 in value. It's called depreciation. It's also called a loss. You have to wait over time for it to come back, for the value of the car to be equal to the loss you took. All right. So if you looked at a lot of these pay dirt reviews, you'll see a net income or a return on investment. It's just like buying a car for $10,000, driving it off the lot, having it automatically worth $8,500, and calling it a 85% return on investment. That's not return on investment. And if you're listening to this, I'm not going to hammer you individually. I'm just telling you that you're misleading people. That's a loss on investment, LOI. A return on investment is when you not only make money, make your full cost that you spent on it, make your expenses back, and then some. The profit is return on investment. So like, for instance, if I, again, using the car example, I would go and buy a car, drive it off the lot, and it was 15% less than what it was when I paid for it 5 minutes ago. That's a 15% loss of investment. Okay. Now, if I were to drive it off the lot and immediately it would be worth, $15,000, I'd have a return on investment of 50%. Well, with the coins that we're talking about here, we're buying it for 50 cents, and we're selling the 65s to 1970s for $2.22. That's a 400 and something percent return on investment. That's real ROI right there. That's real money. You do that times 200 coins, and all of a sudden you're around $488. You flip those 100 coins, or those $100 into 200 half dollars, and you flip those into silver coins from 65 to 70, those 200 coins are now worth $488. But it gets better than that. It really does. Okay, anything before 1965 down to 1944, the scrap value is $5.42. So if you happen to get, why? Because it's a 90% silver content. Okay, you got more silver into it. All right. So if you flip those coins, you spent 50 cents on a coin and it's worth $5.40. You now have over 1,000% return on investment. See what I'm saying? Now, it's not as easy as that. Don't get me wrong. It's hard work. You're going to have to keep going until you've got them all flipped. But when you've got them all flipped, then you've increased your net worth, if you will, on money from that $100 that we started with. You've increased it at least, all right, by 200%, and could be even more. Okay? Now, scale it up. If you happen to go ahead and turn all those 200 coins into 65s and 64 and below down there, then at the end, when you went to sell them, you could easily have $400 to $500 worth of those coins. You turn them in, and now you have your box of half dollars that you can go down to the bank. You do that 3 or 4 more times, and now you can buy a box of half dollars every week and turn that into a weekly income. Okay, what kind of income are we talking about? Well, if you flip those, let's say you only flip 10% of those, I think the math is right here, you could end up with around $4,900 or so in profits in a month. Okay? For me, as a person that needs to replace $5,000 worth of income a month, there it is. I can put that same time into flipping half dollars and probably come really close to making my money that I need to retire with, or at least, get off the road with. So that's the first idea. Now, there's a couple things that I need to bring to your attention about this, okay? A lot of people only search large banks. I like small banks, personally. Why? Because the large banks have machine-rolled half dollars. They come from the central bank. If you have smaller banks, they don't have that ability. So what they do is they hand roll them. I remember as a teller back when I was 18 and 19 years old and worked in my first bank, having to roll lots and lots of coins. Okay, having to roll all my access out of my drawer every day and selling them back to our banker, if you will, in the bank that I was at. We have a change banker, okay? And so I like the small banks personally. Now, small banks, you won't be able to buy box rolls, I don't think, unless you buy them up front, okay? A lot of the big banks will go ahead and make an order for you. We'll call you up when you've created enough of a relationship with them, they can trust you. We'll call you up when the box is in, you go in, you pay for your box, and you go home and you start unrolling and looking at your coins. Now, there's a couple other things that you need to pay attention to when you get these rolls. They call them ENZIs, and uncirculated or proof sets, or proof coins, okay? You'll recognize a proof coin by the shininess. It looks almost like a mirror image on the coin itself. It'll look different. It'll sound a little different. It wasn't meant to be circulated, it was meant for coin collectors. But every once in a while, they'll roll them up accidentally and put them into these rolls, okay? Now, the key ones in the ENZIs that are shiny are typically 1987s. So if you see a 1987, pay attention to it on the half dollars, because and it's on the end. It might be what they, what we would call in retailing is an end cap to the roll. Okay, they're worth probably about $5.50 a piece. The proof coins could be anywhere from $5 to $10 a piece. You don't want to sell. You can't sell those for scrap, obviously, because they don't have any silver content. But if you get lucky and get a silver coin that is a proof coin, you just hit the lottery jackpot. Okay. Now, you could end up with a roll of Benjamin half dollars. That's possible. Or Walking Liberties. Morgan half dollars is what they call them. Not Walking Liberties, but Morgan half dollars. Okay? The coin dealer will try to give you scrap value for those. $5.42. Don't take it. Anything 1944 and before that you happen to pick up through these rolls, don't take the scrap value for it. Numismatists, which is a fancy word for coin collectors, will actually pay more for those, and they could be worth anywhere from 10 to you know, the sky's the limit. I think I've seen one that was worth $20,000 in my years of coin collecting. I didn't own it, but I have seen it. Okay, it was a gold one. Okay, and that's another one where, that you might want to start paying attention to if this is successful for you. Start investing in gold half dollars, that kind of thing. Okay. So anyway, that I hope helps you. That'll give you a way to turn this into a money-making business for you. If you already have a job, then this is a way to give you some extra money so you can start building up equipment and things like that. Don't do it yet, because I want to show you some things that I've done and that some other people that I've created relationships with are doing to make your own equipment until you build up enough capital to be able to buy the commercial stuff, that kind of thing. Okay. Let me just double check my notes here. I'm going to put all these notes in the description so that you've got it. One other thing too, I want to say about the pay dirt reviews and things like that. I have made money on pay dirt because I know what I'm doing. I didn't start off knowing what I'm doing. It's like taking a pie plate and going out to the stream and just panning for gold. You're not going to make anything unless you're extremely lucky, because you don't know. You don't have the education. You don't know how to pan, number one. Number two, you don't know how to read the landscape. There's a whole lot of information that you've got to gather. So for every hour that I put in my business, I probably put 2 to 3 hours worth of research in, 2 to 3 hours worth of learning how to do my business. And you're going to have to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to try and shortcut this for you a little bit. But you know, a lot of the data, the longer that time goes, a lot of this data, even though it's available, may not be relevant. It may not be. You may not be able to use a lot of the stuff that we're going to be coming up with, and we're going to have to redo this. So that's why I encourage you to come up with your own 8 streams of income that you think you can do in your area. You may be in a remote area where there isn't a whole lot of banks. This will still work because you can find coins everywhere. You can find them metal detecting. You can find them in antique shops. You'll just get them in change. You know, you can go through, when you go through the Meyer Thrifty Acres or the Publix or other places, Piggly Wiggly, whatever. You can ask and see, you know, if do you have any half dollars that I could buy from you, that kind of thing. They're everywhere. Okay, these types of people aren't used to what it means to be in the coin business. They're not in the coin business. They're in other businesses. So yeah, they'll sell them to you. They don't know what the spot price is. They don't know what the coins are, but you will. Okay, so you just exchange your dollars, your paper dollars that are pretty much worthless, for coins which are tangible, that you have something that you can keep and turn. Okay. Now, and the other thing is regarding pay dirt. Like I said, I have made money with it, but I know what I'm doing. Okay. When I buy pay dirt, I buy it dirt cheap. I don't buy stuff with a buy now sticker on it, say like eBay or stuff like that. I do my research ahead of time. I specifically target certain vendors of pay dirt. There's only been one, actually there's been two videos on YouTube that I know of where somebody has made money on pay dirt. Okay, but they bought that pay dirt on sale. Sales on pay dirt usually happen around Christmas time. Okay, so now is the time to be researching that. It's not the time to be buying right now unless you see a sale on. Okay, a lot of these people are out in the field already doing their concentrates, putting their concentrates together. Okay, to be able to sell for the rest of the year, mostly at Christmas. Okay, so what we're talking about here is, if you're going to buy pay dirt, you want to pay. If you're going to buy it from a wholesaler, that's fine, but buy it at a discount. So when they have their sales on, buy it then. Also, you want to buy it from people that have a guaranteed amount of gold in their pay dirt. Okay, there's one in particular, actually three that in particular that I really like. Dorado Gold. I haven't seen a bad cleanup yet on Dorado Gold. Now it's a little pricey. We're talking down the line. Okay, you're not going to be able to flip your $100 on that right off the bat, because the bags will cost anywhere from I don't know, 450 to 530 bucks, that kind of thing. But they guarantee 10 plus grams of gold in each one of their bags. Okay, if you buy the right bag, that is. You got to look at what you're buying. I've seen it twice, and both times it's been over 11 grams of gold in each one of the bags. All right. The spot price, I think yesterday was for a gram was like $41.15, something like that. So if you multiply that by 11, that's $440. Multiply that by 12 and a half. One of the videos that I saw from Miller Prospecting reviewed one from Dorado. It was awfully difficult to pan. He hated every bit, because it's just like my Alabama clay. It's all sooty and nasty and doesn't settle to the bottom and dirties up your water, and it's hard to pan. But he got 12.37 ounces, $535 worth of pay dirt, and he only paid, of gold, and he paid $475 for it. Okay, so he had a net income of $60. So he made $60 on a $475 bag of pay dirt. That's pretty good, actually. That's real good. What we're looking at is, for me, $5,000 is what I need to replace in a month. That means that each stream of gold, I'm working on putting 8 of them together. Each stream of gold has got to produce $625 in a month. You break that down to a weekly basis, and now we're looking at $75 a week. That's really reasonable. I can do $75 a week from each one of these streams, I think. So, especially with this flipping idea. And if you buy that gold pay dirt, boom, you've got it already. It's not guaranteed. You get 10 plus guaranteed, so anywhere from 10 to 13 ounces, grams is what you get. Another one that I like really well is Gold Bay pay dirt. They guarantee a certain rate of gold in there, and I've seen nothing but great reviews as far as that goes, but I think the return on investment that's probably a little less. Okay. I'm happy to do pay dirt reviews. It's not really my thing. I can, but I'm going to tell you up front that if I do it, I'm going to do it based on my thinking of ROI, what I was taught in banking, not what I see here on YouTube or the internet. So if you're a vendor and you want honest ROI, that's what you get from me. I don't think I'll have any takers, but that's the way it'll be, because most of the time it's a net loss. All right, so that's it. Flipping $50. You go ahead and get started. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure there's pluses and minuses to it based on your area, and that's fine. If you like what you hear so far, hit the like button. Please share this. Help me grow this channel. You are a partner of this channel, believe it or not, because we're in this together. Part of my goals is to set us all free, to find a way to set us all free. I want us out of the system. I don't want to make somebody else rich. I want us to be rich. I've chosen gold because gold is tangible, gold is valuable. You look at history, everybody trades in gold. Anybody that's had paper money, paper assets, trade on paper, usually ends up going belly up one way or another. But if you trade on gold, you trade on silver. Actual gold and actual silver. You don't have much to worry about. You'll always have a roof over your head and food to eat, okay? If you've got that tangible. And so that's what we're looking at. We're trying to get to that, okay? All right, have yourself a good day. Please subscribe, take this journey with us, and we'll see you on the next video for income stream number 2.